Hello Year 6, or more importantly, hello Yellow Group. Today is Thursday and this is your daily maths lesson. So as always, let's get started with our arithmetic warm-up. You know the drill by now, Year 6. I'll give you 5 minutes. So if you'd like to do your arithmetic warm-up and mark your answers, and then when you're finished, restart the lesson so we can go into the main body of your learning. Okay, so I'll assume now that you have all done your grid, your arithmetic warm-up, and that you have marked your answers. So now we are going to continue from what we've been doing in the last few days, where we are going to solve division problems using a formal written method. So you know by now that to be successful, you're going to have to use your timetable facts to help you divide. I'm going to require you to represent the calculation pictorially through using a bar model, and I want you to use your inverse calculations to check that your answers are correct. So let's have a look at some of the questions that we're working with today. Okay, so we have a word problem here. We have 256 children are waiting to have a turn on the flume ride at Alton Towers. Lucky them. Each carriage holds 5 people. How many carriages will the children fill? Okay, so what I have to do here, I've got my shopping list here, the order and things in which I have to do them, so I have to underline my key information. Now for speed, what I've done here today is I've underlined the key information that I need. Now this is going to be a bit like the CD problems that we had, where there's going to be a remainder in some of the questions. So what are you going to do with all those children if there is a remainder? Are you going to say, sorry, you can't go on the ride? No, you're going to have to think about how many carriages will the children fill. So I'm going to represent my calculation pictorially by doing a bar model. So I know I've got 256 children and each carriage holds 5 people. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so I know that how many carriages am I going to need? So I'm going to here do this calculation, and I'm going to think about 5 into 256. So let me see how I'm going to do this. Okay, so I recognize that I have to do this. So 5 doesn't go into 2, 5 goes into 25. 5 goes into 25 5 times, and so without a remainder. So 5 then goes into 6 once with a remainder. So I know that each one of these here is going to be, let me see, type this on here, it's going to be 51, 51, 51, 51, 51. So I'm just going to put a little box on the end of here. Now I wonder if you can think why I put that little box, because I know that I got 51 times 5 here, because each carriage holds 5 people. So I'm going to need here 51. So let me see. So I've got a remainder of 1. So that poor one person, what are you going to say? Can't go on a ride? No. So how many carriages are we going to need in total? We're going to need 52 carriages. So do yourself a written answer. So my written answer would be, I need 52 carriages. I need 52 carriages. And then I'll do my inverse. Now, I know here that if I did 51 times 5, it would bring me to 255. And I've got my remainder 1. So I add my remainder 1 onto 255, which will give me 256. So I know I've accommodated all my children. So this is very similar to the CD problem that you've got. What I would like now, Yellow Group, is for you to have go at task 1. Now these are all similar problems. So I'd like you to complete these word problems, dividing with remainders, but only complete as many as you need until you feel confident. So there's 8 questions there. You do not need to do all 8. If you feel really confident after the CD remainder problems, just do a couple just to remind yourself and then move on to task 2. If you knew the CD ones was what you found a bit tricky, do a few more. So I suggest you stop the video now, do task 1, and then when you're ready, restart it. Okay, so task 2. Task 2, we're looking at this particular problem, and it's a 2-part problem. So it's slightly more complicated, but if we take it slowly, then I'm sure you will be fine. So again, my shopping list here down the side. Key information represented pictorially, do the calculation, or in this case, it'd be calculations, plural. Do a written answer and do the inverse to check. So the first thing I've done here is I've underlined my key information. I've got 3 pineapples, and I know that 3 pineapples cost the same as 2 mangoes. I know that 1 mango costs £244.50. That's a very expensive mango. Must be very nice though. Okay, so what we're going to do now is do a bar model to represent it so far. I know that 1 mango costs £244.50. And that's £244.50. Now, I'm just going to put a 0 there so that you know, because in pence, we deal, we've either got to distinguish whether that would be 5p, in which case it would be 0.5, or whether it would be 50. So it's going to be £244.50. £244.50. Okay, so I know if I add those two together to get the cost of 2 mangoes, it's £489. So I know that 1 mango costs this, therefore 2 mangoes cost this. And it's really important that I work out what 2 mangoes cost, because 3 pineapples cost the same as 2 mangoes. And I am going to have to find out the cost of 1 pineapple. It doesn't want to underline. Just 1 pineapple. So I'm working backwards with the information that I've got to help me calculate this. So my first part, all I've done is find out the cost of 2 mangoes. That's all I needed to do. So now we're going to move on and find out the cost of 1 pineapple using that information that I've got. So I know that 2 mangoes cost £489, and I know that 3 pineapples cost the same as 2 mangoes. So I've split my bar at the bottom into 3 because I'm trying to find out the cost of 1 of these. So looking at this, I've got to do my calculation. So my second part of my calculation is to take my 489 and share it equally 3 ways. So here's my calculation here. 3 goes into 4 once, with 1 left over. 3 goes into 18 6, and 3 goes into 9 3 times. So I know that each one of my pineapples costs £163. These are very expensive fruits, aren't they? Okay, so, and the question was saying was, how much does 1 cost? How much does 1 cost? So I now know that 1 cost 163. So I can then do my written answer here in the box provided. They've given me the pound sign, so that's fine. So all I need to do now is to check the calculation that you are, to check the calculation to make sure I've done it right by doing the inverse. So my, year 6. So my inverse here is 163 multiplied by 3, and that should bring me back to my 489. And if I divided that by 2, it would give me to £244.50. So I'd know that I'd done it all right. Now, you'll also notice that I've done 510 derive, my 3 times table down here to help me with my division of 3. So, year 6, that is task 2 that I would like you to do. So, once you have done that, I would like you to send in part 1 and part 2 to me and to your other class teachers at the end of today. So this brings you now to the end of Thursday's lesson, year 6. I shall see you tomorrow.